What was the most memorable scene, or was there anything that you look back and think that was a brilliant memory, that made us laugh, that was really emotional? And what was the standout moment in the film for you?
A lot of the people who've seen the film always kind of refer to the football scene, which is a fantastic sequence.
A lot of the people always say, the football scene.
It's funny, it's cruel, it's as it was like it was in those days. So many people came up to me as kids and said, that was exactly like my PE master. We had exactly
I've got a friend who was a PE teacher and he's still like that now.
That's right.
Exactly.
So there was a lot of identity, and it's funny as well. Brian's brilliant in it. I mean, I love him going, and it's the slightly balding, fair-haired Bobby Charlton to kick off in this important sixth-round tie against Tottenham Hotspur.
What was it like getting a clip around the head of him? Because I've seen him in films and you just look and think, he's a big aggressive bloke.
Oh yes, they were not half given. They were 200%, and you felt it.
Yeah.
You know, I had a fair crack on my head from him.
He looks like a bloke that's got a canny
clip
across the back of the
head.
head.
Yes. So I in a lot of ways, I think the football scene is absolutely brilliant. But the scene that really matters to me, the most important scene in the entire film, is when you see Billy actually executing falconry for Mr. Colin Welland, Mr. Farthing.
The scene for me when people are saying the football scene is brilliant. I'm like, no, the bit when he's in the field, that's tremendous.
It's because we see the potential in this kid who's looked upon as coal mining fodder, that if you can actually pivot and find what it is that is passionate about any school pupil, any individual when they're that young, rather than consigning them to the kind of factory, you never know where it can lead, you know, and that's what that scene kind of.
You see his potential in that one, don't you?
That's right. That's right.
I like it as well how the teacher trusts him. He's actually took time out of his own day where he could quite easily be sitting in his staff room, not doing anything, having his break that he's earned, but he's took that time out.
He's the only teacher who cares, because his curiosity has been piqued, and he wants to see this Kestrel, and he comes along, and then he gives the bird and Billy ultimate respect when they're inside the shed and their voices become really quiet, and he says that it's almost like speaking in church, that there is that kind of ambience about it.
As well, I could imagine, is a young kid like Billy who hasn't got a dad, he's got a bully brother and a mother that's more interested in her boyfriends. To have a teacher, somebody of authority, showing an interest in him must have been a Brit, and that's what I like about that film.
That could have been a very good paternal-child relationship, but because of what happens at the end of the film, it's destroyed.
Yeah, so it's not that's what it is. It's not just the bird in his relationship there. It's that little bit of trust or
that light that we have to open up, that could have been opened up, but then suddenly it's just completely desecrated by the actions of his brother.
When
it's devastating. Well, to me, I think it was devastating to Billy, because he says in the film, Mr. Farthing says, "But she's your favourite, isn't she?" And he says, "None of them are in the same league.
No.
None of them are in the same league."
I mean, what was it like filming the end scene?
It was devastating, because we were not. I was told they were desperately looking for a bird of prey, a kestrel, that had died of natural causes. But if they couldn't find one, they'd have to sacrifice one of the birds that we had. Originally we had 3 birds, which we named after a shoe shop at the time. One was called Freeman, Hardy and Willis. Willis was trained by Barry, and she was a little bit neurotic, and was just completely untrainable. So we had to reintroduce Willis very gently and over a long period of time back into the wild, so that she could fend for herself. So Richard, Barry's brother, trained Freeman, and Barry would train Hardy, but whenever I was around, I would take over and train with Hardy. So I became really attached to Hardy, the kestrel. and they're telling me several days before we're going to shoot the final scene that they may have to kill one of the kestrels if they can't find a bird that's died of natural causes. And on that very night, on the eve of doing that last scene, I go to train with the kestrels as I'd done for the last 6-7 weeks, and I go inside the shed, and they've already said to me, we've got something to tell you, and they take me into the shed and there's just one kestrel there. And I know who it is, it's Freeman, and there's no Hardy anymore. And I'm still convinced that they wouldn't be so cruel as to kill such a beautiful bird that they must have had a relationship with as well as me. But they tried to convince me, and it came to the day. We started shooting. They brought out this kestrel that had been preserved in a newspaper, a bloody newspaper. A newspaper that you ate fish and chips in, kind of newspaper. That's right. It was cruel. It was disrespectful. And I, as a 14-year-old, I knew that, and I hated it. And I just saw this bird, and I couldn't tell whether it was anybody other than Hardy. And by looking at everybody the entire crew were not talking to me. Ken Loach had told everybody, you do not talk to David today. You don't say hello to him. If he says hello to you, you keep it and you just say, hi, Dave. Hello, David. You don't have any jokes or any banter. It's all, that's what he did. He created an atmosphere that alienated me in a way. I remember it. It's just come to me now. And so we did actually go to the point where I find the bird in the shed, in the dustbin, and take it inside. But then we cut for the morning session. And it was lunchtime, and it was during that lunch period that I was really angry now, because I'd been shunned by everybody. I was, it was not like a typical day.
And even now you would never dream about doing that to a kid.
Oh no, it's the cruelest. It's murder in a way. It's the cruelest thing that you could do. And as I was saying earlier, today with the kids at the school that we attended, I went to the canteen to pick up my favourite meal because it was supposed to be laid on for me that day, and there's none left. My shepherd's pie and my rhubarb crumble and custard, there's none left. And I'm really now pissed off. They were trying to upset me, right? And I thought, bugger this, I'm gonna piss off to the local fruit shop and I'm gonna buy every bloody fruit I can think of, just to pig out. And I came back, and by this time I'm now cooling off because I've had my favourite fruits. And I'm convinced I've got to play Billy. It's not right to rebel in that way. So I continued I became Billy again, rather than being angry, which is what they wanted. When Billy comes in, he says, where is it? What's that done with it? He's angry, he's fearful. There's a change when he realises, he knows, but he hasn't been told yet. He knows what's happened to his bird, but he needs to hear it.
He needs to see it, doesn't he?
And to see it. To know that it's real and it's brutal and it's life and it's reality. And that was the turn. So in the afternoon, I'm now Billy again. And at the end of the day, one of the units said, I've got a message for you. You've got to go round to the cafeteria. They want to apologise. I said, all right then. So I went round to the canteen where we get our lunches and things. And they came up and they said, sorry, pal. And he came out in another foil. He got me shepherd's pie, and in another foil he had me rhubarb and custard, and said we were told we couldn't give it you till after tea today. So take it home, put it in the oven. It'll be nice. I thought, you little bastards, you bastards.
I mean, it's horrible. It's a horrible thing to do. You would never see that on the film set now.
Well, then I went on to Richard and Barry's to train Freeman, right? And I arrived there at the shed. And who's inside the shed? My little Hardy. He's there, and he's squeaking, and his wings are flapping, and he's bobbing up, and because he knows it's fly time, it's food time, and he's ready because he recognises me.
It's cool, but it's a brilliant piece of directing, maybe, because it gets the emotions.
Yes,
And I think you'd have to be a hell of an actor.
he has to tweak that. And I was vulnerable, obviously. But I was right. I knew they wouldn't really kill it, the bastards.
Think I see a shoes next year's bird. I think